am Eric Kulmala, and I'm running to be your next mayor of Oakland. I believe Oakland is a great community, and it's important that we address the critical challenges in the years ahead. I'm running for mayor because I believe that Oakland needs a working mayor, not a ceremonial mayor. Regretfully, our current mayor tends to focus on cocktail parties and ribbon cuttings rather than investing real energy into solving the challenges we face. I'm going to take you on a short tour of Oakland and show you why it's so important to elect a working mayor. You are about to see a city that is suffering from a lack of attention and focus. It is time we restore pride in Oakland again and deal with vacant buildings like the closed Burger King, repair our Welcome to Oakland signs, and fix our sidewalks. We can do this together. We can be a better place to live with some hard work. So, please take a short walk with me through Oakland and you'll see the need for change. So here we are at the old Burger King property on the corner of Long Hill and 202. And this is another example of failed leadership in Oakland. What is the message that we're sending when people come into town and they see this hulk of a building that's been abandoned for a couple of years? If you look across the top, you can see the red fascias coming down. All of the building, all the bushes are overgrown. If you look in the far corner, the garbage cans are overflowing. You've even got branches that are blowing around. So, I mean, these are issues that need to be dealt with at the mayor's level. And if you're not doing your job. And I just want to point out a few things that directly have an effect on, your property values. And here's a good example by, people coming into town and seeing this and people living here. As you can see, this building's been closed now for 2 years. We've got problems with landscaping. If you look at the top, you can see that there's fascia missing. And, really to accentuate that, here's a piece of fascia on the ground. This is blown off the building, laying in the parking lot. I mean, what's the message that we're speaking to Oakland? So let's take a walk down this way. We'll go a little further. As we come down the side of the building, you're going to notice right up here in the tree, got a good close-up of it, there's an old tarp that must have blown in here over the last couple of years. It's rotting in the tree that's overgrown. You've got power wires, power lines, and cable lines that are down. So let's continue our tour of our next spot in Oakland. Well, here we are on Long Hill Road, right across from the abandoned Burger King. And I've said it many times, Mayor Schwager is a mayor that likes to cut ribbons and be a ceremonial mayor. I don't know about you, Mayor. I don't think this is a ribbon that you want to cut, because quite frankly, you dropped the ball, and now we've got a sidewalk that's closed from Portobello all the way down to Doty Road. Why? Because for the last 8 years, you took your eye off the ball and we're not paying attention to what was going on in town. When I'm elected as mayor of Oakland, these issues will be dealt with and we will have an inventory of everything that's failing. I've heard from a lot of residents. The things that really get under people's skin is A, the foreclosed houses that are in town. And worse than that are the abandoned houses in town. This is one of those blighted properties down on Riverside Drive. This house here flooded out in 2011. There's been numerous complaints from residents about raccoons and animals living in the house. And yet here we are, 2019. The house is still standing. And if you look at the surrounding properties, what it does is it reduces their property values. Mayor Schwager, why haven't you dealt with this for the last 8 years as mayor? When I'm your mayor, we're working on a new property ordinance, a blighted house, zombie house ordinance, and we will get it done and we will get these houses removed. Well, here we are on the border of Oakland and Franklin Lakes. And I want to compare and contrast a little bit between the two towns and what you see when you come in. So here we are coming up Long Hill looking at Franklin Lakes. And what do we see here? We see a Welcome to Franklin Lakes sign founded in 1922. Now we're going to move across the street and take a look at the Oakland sign and what people see when they come into town. Well, here we are on the other side of Long Hill Road, now coming into Oakland from Franklin Lakes. And I'm standing next to what was once the Welcome to Oakland sign. Now this isn't the only one. There are actually 5 in town that are all missing and have been taken down. You have this one at the Long Hill, you have the other one at the far side by 202 Wayne border, you have one at the top of Yopo, you have one down up in Breakneck Road right behind me, and you've also got the one at the top of Yopo. Not a single sign has been left standing. What is the message, Mayor Schwager, you're trying to send to the residents and people coming into Oakland? Well, as we continue our tour here of Oakland, now I'm at the corner of West Oakland Ave and Route 202 by the train station, or it used to be the old train station, better known as Bush Plaza. If you recall, 2 years ago, a group of residents got together with a beautification project where they wanted to make a pocket park right here in Bush Plaza, and it was supposed to be called Station Park. They presented their concepts and drawings to the governing body. The governing body approved their concepts to move forward. Well, since then, the mayor has disbanded the Station Park Committee. She changed the scope of the project from Station Park to downtown redevelopment, hoping to get a grant from the state of New Jersey for downtown redevelopment. Well, as we come to find out, now we don't have a grant from the state of New Jersey. Now we have no money for the park. And to add insult to injury, now she even disbanded the grants committee, which was tasked to start looking for both state and federal monies to be able to fund projects like this, and the bridge and sidewalks and other projects. Well, Mayor, once again, your legacy lives on. But I will tell you, when I'm your mayor next year, I will put the grants committee back together. We will put the Station Park committee back together, and we will get this project done within the next 2 years. Once again, here on Station Park, I don't know if you remember, back in the day, there used to be an old Christmas tree that stood here. It was probably about 50 feet tall. And you'd come around the corner and the bottom was all rotted out, and there were Christmas lights and strings hanging on there from the 1970s and 80s. Well, the only thing that's really happened to this park was I made a motion to have the tree removed. And the good news is we got the tree removed with help from the railroad, and it really did open up this area and brighten up this corner instead of having this old dilapidated Christmas tree evergreen that was hanging over this corner. Well, here we are, our next stop on our trip through Oakland. We are at the Oakwood Knolls wastewater treatment plant. Oakland has 2 other plants besides this one. One is located behind the Copper Tree Mall, and the other one is located by the Hiawatha Firehouse. Right now, Oakland is trying to get out of the wastewater treatment business by having these converted to pump stations so that we can save millions of dollars for not having to convert these pumps, not having to upgrade these systems. So where are we today? So we've been numerous meetings with New Jersey DEP to get our permits approved so that we can have these converted. Now, I would say that, the running joke through town is, we're never going to get sewers. We're talking about 35 years. Well, the reality is, if we don't get these offline, this is going to cost you and all of us as a taxpayer millions of dollars. And I can assure you that we are this close to being able to get that done. Now, why is this important? Most important thing to keep in mind is once we get the first sewer plant offline, we already did a plan that overlays the town for the sewer service area, specifically the downtown area. The reason you don't see anything happening downtown redevelopment-wise is because we don't have sewers. But once we get the permitting done from DEP, first plant comes offline, boom, the door is opening for downtown redevelopment as soon as the sewers go in. So stay tuned. There's going to be exciting things happening in the next 24 to 48 months.
Hello, my name is Grant Van Eck, and I am running for the privilege of serving you on the Oakland Council. I am committed to working tirelessly to make Oakland a great place to live, work, and raise a family. The facts are clear. Our mayor and her followers have allowed Oakland to drift into a state of disrepair. Our historic landmarks are dilapidated. Our roads are jammed. Our sidewalks are torn up. Our welcome to Oakland signs are on the ground. And our community's image is suffering for one reason: a lack of leadership. I decided I could complain or get involved. I decided to get involved. Oakland is my home. My wife and I are raising our daughter here. We want to see Oakland live up to its full potential, where our quality of life is high. My name is Grant Van Eck. I hope you will vote for me for council and Eric Kulmala for mayor on November 5th. Thank you.
Well, here we are at the Rampo River Reserve, and I'm standing in front of the Patriots Way Bridge right off Route 202. As you know, over the course of the last several years, we've had some issues with the bridge where essentially the bridge itself is failing or has failed. And if you look behind me, you can see some of the rot. And if you recall, 2 years ago, the DOT had to step in and at a cost of about $450,000 to fix both ends of the bridge so that we can open it back up for commercial traffic, emergency services, and even school buses. So where are we today? If you recall, I came up and visited the residents of the Rampo Reserve about 4 years ago, held a town hall meeting with Assemblyman Auth, Senator Cardinale, and Assemblywoman Holly Schapese, including our borough engineer and members of administration. And I asked you to, through our grant operator, to write letters of support so that we can apply for a $500,000 grant, which we did get. So thank you everybody for your hard work. Since then, we applied for another $500,000, received $400,000, so we have $900,000 in the bank. We have another grant that we're looking for another $500,000. So hopefully, in the next several years, we'll be able to raise at least another $1.5 million so that we can replace the bridge. So the question is, what is it going to cost to fix this? Well, reality is, in talking to our borough engineers, we can't fix it. This requires a replacement. Right now, the estimated costs are coming in at about $4.5 million. And the repair the DOT did for us has a shelf life of anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So right now, we have to put a line in the sand and say we are going to replace this bridge either 3 years out or 4 years out. We have to find the grant money and the funding to get this done. And here's the stickler. If you recall, at the last stop, we were talking about the fact that the mayor disbanded the grant committee. Disbanded the grant committee. I can't think of a worse decision to make when you're dealing with multi-million-dollar infrastructure projects like this, to disband a grant committee. It boggles my mind. Well, when I'm your mayor, we're going to put the grant committee back together again. We are going to work with our state and federal legislators to find the money that's required to replace this bridge so the burden does not fall on us. I mean us, I live in this town too, the residents of Oakland. Well, here we are at the corner of Franklin Ave and 202, better known as the Van Allen House property. I'm happy to report that the second half of the roof has been completed and they're beginning work on the dormers and interior construction. Let's talk about how we got here. It was October of last year. We had a resident that came in front of the governing body, and she desperately was calling out the fact that the Van Allen house was suffering from interior mold and that she was getting sick from it, and asked the mayor to look into what's going on with the house. Well, fast forward to December, October, November, December, 3 months later, I was approached by a member of the Historical Society saying, Eric, you got to come down and look at the interior of this house. It's falling apart. So I met him down here on a Saturday, and I was shocked by what I saw. And if you recall from the council meeting, I showed the pictures that I took of the interior with the roof leaking onto the insulation and pulling down a plaster lath, 50-gallon buckets of water, and black mold running up and down the walls. Well, immediately after presenting that to the mayor and council, I put a motion on the floor to immediately tarp the building so we can stop any further water damage. And the second part of my motion was to get the borough engineer and decide to go check for structural damage before we lose this building the same way that the stream house is now, which is unrepairable and has to be demolished. Well, we've come to the end of our tour of Oakland, and right now we're at the corner of Franklin Ave and 202, at probably one of the most infamous and most hated buildings in the Borough of Oakland, better known as the Stream House. So how did we get here? Mayor Schwager has been mayor for 8 years. She had a responsibility and obligation to fix this building. This is a borough asset and a borough property. She didn't. She allowed this building to rot. And now we're faced with no other option to take this building down. Well, when I'm your mayor next year, I will guarantee this building will be taken down within the first 6 months of my tenure, if not sooner. Oakland deserves better. Oakland deserves a working mayor, not a ceremonial mayor. Thank you so much for your time and listening to my tour of Oakland, and have a wonderful day. Eric Kulmala for Mayor 2019. Well, here we are back in the studio. Thank you for following along on our little tour. I hope you had an opportunity to learn a few things of some of the issues that we're dealing with in Oakland. And as you can tell, Oakland really is ready for a change of leadership. And in closing, I just want to introduce you to my colleague, Grant Van Eck, who's also running on the ticket with me, for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Eric. We all certainly learned a lot. Please, on November 5th, go out and vote column 1. Thank you for watching.